Hello. Hi. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Sugar-Free Self-Care TV. Today I'm gonna teach you guys how to stop craving sugar and carbs with just 3 simple steps, and all you need is a piece of paper and a pen. You could even do this without a piece of paper and pen, but if you have paper, I do recommend doing it on paper the first time especially, so you could get the hang of this, because if you don't, it'll be a little messy. So you can actually lose weight by writing things down on a piece of paper, and this is gonna help you get in control of your cravings rather than your sugar and carb cravings getting in control of you. I started coming up with this especially when I was a nurse in the hospital, and nursing is a very high stress job, and you probably know some nurses who are in the hospital right now and working through COVID, and they're doing so many things and they have probably a lot of patients. And so a lot of the times when I was stressed in the hospital, I would just have those moments where I just felt like wanting to get out of my, just literally stop what I was doing and maybe yell or scream, and just have any of you had those moments where you just want to scream and feel like everything is just going wrong, or you're just wondering, why is this going right? And you just have so much anger and frustration. So for me, especially as a nurse, those moments were always at work, and something that helped me feel better in those moments was basically eating for comfort. And we'd have a lot of foods available in the hospital, a lot of cookies and cakes and chocolates. They would always be available in the staff break room. So what I always ended up doing is, I didn't realize it, but I actually started developing a pattern where I knew that if I was feeling stressed, I would go right to the staff break room, I would eat, and then I just kept doing that until I realized I was actually pre-diabetic. So I had to confront my behaviors. I actually had to confront, what am I doing? Why am I eating so much? Or how did my blood sugar go up? And when I started tracking my food, I realized oh wow, I'm actually eating a lot when I'm stressed. So what I did to get ahead of myself, to stop eating in the moment, is to first gain that awareness. You first just have to know, kind of have a sense for yourself. Just ask yourself, what are the patterns you're noticing when you're wanting to eat, or when you have those cravings? When do they come up? And especially think about it when you're at home. Is it a specific situation or a specific emotional state that gets you to want to eat sugar and carbs? And for me, like I said, it was when I was when I was feeling really stressed at work. When you can anticipate this and you know this for yourself, this is where you could use the 3-step journaling method that I'm gonna share with you guys. So again, picture in your head whenever you're craving, just know what that scenario is, anticipate the pattern, and then from there, grab a piece of paper. So imagine you are in the situation, okay? Imagine maybe it's after lunch, you just wanna grab something sweet to eat. Put yourself in that situation, and then you're going to go through these 3 steps. So first of all, pause this video, grab a piece of paper, and then come back to it so you could follow along with me when I introduce it to you. Okay, you got it? You got your piece of paper? I'm watching you. But anyway, grab your paper and then go through these 3 questions that I'm gonna ask you, which is something you could start doing over and over to stop caving into your cravings in the moments where you just want to eat all the damn things. Okay, so now that you got your paper, the first step of it is catching yourself. So you don't need your paper yet, but the first step is just catching yourself, noticing when you're in your pattern. It's when, we are going to that example of eating dessert after lunch. It's after lunch, you're finding yourself, wanting to go to the refrigerator or the pantry at home after your lunch, okay? So you're finding yourself in that situation. So the first thing you gotta do is catch yourself craving. And then when you catch yourself, you wanna write down what are the thoughts that are making you wanna eat in this moment. So you can write down 3 things in your paper. Number 1 is catch yourself. So write down all the thoughts in your head that are going through your mind as you, right before you grab that food. So maybe it's oh, let me just see what's in my pantry. Let me just eat something really quick, or I'm still hungry, I could go for this, or one bite won't hurt. Whatever those thoughts are, write them down, get them all on paper. Don't change them, don't fix them, just write them down as they are. Now that you have a list of at least a few thoughts of what's going on in your mind, you want to look at this and really see that those words that you just wrote down, those are thoughts in your head that are really compelling you to want to eat. Because remember, we aren't craving sugar and carbs because of the food. Like, it's not because the food's in your pantry that we're craving, it's because we have these thoughts about the food that we're craving, right? Like, I could have cookies in my pantry right now and I won't crave them because I just don't want cookies anymore. Like, I'm at that point where I don't want cookies, and so I won't think about them, I won't worry about them, and I just don't have them as part of my life, because I don't have that story that I want to eat cookies anymore. But for you to break that pattern, you just first have to see, what are your thoughts that are making you want the food? Okay, so look at those thoughts, and then that brings me to step number 2. Step number 2 is to challenge the thoughts. Really challenge and question all the thoughts that you've written down. And a great way to question your thoughts and challenge your thoughts is to just really go thought by thought and ask yourself, is that really true? Do I really need this right now? Like, why do I really need it? Like, really asking those questions, kind of like how if you're in a court case or if you're a lawyer, you really want to question everything. You really want to get in a mode where you're kind of like an investigator, like a detective. Okay, so question the thought. So if your thought was, I just need something sweet after lunch, challenge that. Like, is that true? Is that true that you really need something sweet after lunch? Or is it true that one bite won't hurt? Like, is that really true that one bite won't hurt? Maybe it might not hurt in the moment, but definitely if you keep eating those bites that you regret, you're going to build up this lack of trust in yourself, and you're going to probably end up judging yourself down the road, or it might cause you to be pre-diabetic like I was, and didn't even realize it. So question all those thoughts, challenge those thoughts, and ask yourself, like, is this really true? Do I really need this right now? Why am I wanting this? And then you want to do that for every single thought you wrote down, like question every thought. And the last step is to change. The last step is to change your story about the craving. So you want to ask yourself, okay, I saw all these thoughts, I challenged them, and now I want to change them, and I want to be the one in control of my mind. I want to change the story I'm telling myself. So for example, if you think you want to eat something sweet after lunch, and then you ask yourself, is that really true? Do I need to eat something sweet? And you decide that you don't, then you could change it to thinking like, I can have something sweet when I plan it tomorrow, but right now I don't need this because I'm full. So when you change your story, imagine just how that feels differently in your body. Like, do you still feel that urge or that desire to have the food when you change your story? Or maybe you might think something like, I'm going to drink water first and see if maybe I'm dehydrated. Like, and that's a different story you could tell yourself, but those different stories create a different feeling. Those different stories don't feel very pushy, they don't feel very naggy, they don't feel very like, you know, like you're deprived. It's just kind of like matter of fact, and it's just based on like focusing on what's going on in reality, focusing on what's going on in the present moment rather than what's going on in your mind. So those are the 3 steps again. It's to catch all the thoughts in your head, challenge those thoughts, and then change those thoughts. And really be the one in control of your mind, and you're the one directing your mind rather than your mind directing you and telling you what to do. Because we all have that primal instinct. We all have this sort of survival mode part of our brain that wants to eat sugar all the time. Like it thinks it needs it to survive. But what our brain hasn't realized and hasn't caught up on yet is that we're living in the state of abundance where we have so many of these hyperpalatable foods, like these foods high in sugar and carbs and fats that we don't need all the time, but our brain hasn't caught up yet that it's actually detrimental to our health when we keep eating them. It keeps wanting those foods for survival. So to be in charge of your brain, you gotta catch the thought. You gotta catch the craving thought. You gotta challenge yourself. You gotta challenge those thoughts, and then you gotta change the thoughts. All right, you guys, so let me know how this goes for you. When you try this out, you journal it, like you write it down before you grab the food. I guarantee that that craving will not be as naggy and it won't feel as urgent as before. And this is exactly what I did to stop stress eating at work, so that I wouldn't be constantly depending on the food to make me feel better in the moment. Like, I would really just be asking myself, like, what is the problem? Like, what do I need to do in this moment? What do I really need to do? And that's what helped me stop eating the food at work in the hospital. All right, you guys, so if you love this and you want more tips and you want to hear from me live, join me in my sugar-free Stop the Crave Facebook group. That's my Stop the Crave Facebook group, which you could go to at sugarfree.group. That's the URL, sugarfree.group. And you could join me live in Facebook trainings where I could give you more tips. I go live every Tuesday and Thursday, and I give you some more tips and tricks on handling cravings at home and just anywhere where you just really have the urge to eat. Okay, you guys, have an amazing day, and I'll see you next time.